You will find hundreds of videos talking about GTM systems today. Some will show you a stack of 10, maybe 20, maybe 50 different tools. You will have your CRM, data provider, enrichment tool, sequencing tool, email platform, LinkedIn automation, intent data analytics, and what more. And somehow, putting all of these tools together is supposed to give you a complete GTM system. We don't actually think that's true. In fact, I don't think a complete GTM system really exists. And that's because GTM itself is never complete. It is a constantly changing activity wherein your ICP might change, your messaging might change, your channels might change, your outreach strategy can change, and even the way you sell changes. So if that's the case, then what should we actually be building? And that's what I want to show you in this video. Today, instead of saying that, say, here is one complete GTM system, what we do or what have we figured out is we have built a complete skeleton of how a GTM system should function. We have not defined any tools to use, we have not defined any approaches to use, nor any tactics to use. What we have simply done is we have bifurcated what a GTM system or a sales system should look like in different components. We are considering that we have three parts to this. First is our data part, wherein what we begin with is defining a data process. Majority of the time what we have seen is today's companies, when they move into doing sales, or any salesperson who goes into doing sales, they will immediately say, I need data to do the reach outs. And they might directly say purchase a tool like Apollo or any other data provider. And they would directly just put in filters, say that, okay, now I have the data of prospects that I want to reach out to, and they will immediately start reaching out to. We have realized that that is not an ideal way to go about it. There is an important aspect to this where you realize that, okay, where are you actually sourcing your data from? Okay, whether that data is updated or not, whether you are using the right filters or not. So as a company, we realize that having certain processes in place for just having your data created is very important. Now, we were able to figure this out. Why? Because we have constantly been working with different clients across different sectors and have realized that this is a common challenge. And the first and the very base foundation of GTM engineering is having the right data in place to reach out to. So if you see, what we have done is we have simply had different components created, and in those components we have highlighted what are the things that you need to do as part of the process. So if I talk about the data process, sourcing, cleaning, enrichment, scraping, all of these are part of it. But how do we go about it? Now today you might say that, okay, I want to get my data, I can either get it from a third party vendor, or I can get from a tool, or I can go to events and do it. So there are multiple sources to it. But what is the most reliable source for you? Now consider, say for example, that LinkedIn, which is one of the gold mines for B2B data, is a source that you want to utilize. How do you go about it? What is the tool that you use for scraping? That all is a latter part of it. First you need to define what is the process that you want to go forward with. I'll just simply highlight a couple of things over here. When we talk about just say the data process, we have this one simple workflow that we have built over here using N8N. Now, I'm going into tools just to show you guys that, okay, it's not necessary for us to, constantly keep on using multiple different tools. It's just that you need to define a process, figure out what part of it actually needs automation, and then build workflows around it. Okay. So if you can see over here, when we talk about the data process, obviously defining the source, defining ICP is the first part. Then comes scraping, where you decide that what is the type of tool that you want to use. Today in terms of scraping, we have tools like PhantomBuster, Apify, Octoparse, and many more. So which is a tool that you would want to go forward with. Now why is a tool necessary over here? Because you can either do scraping via building a Python script, or you can do it manually by simply copy pasting. But these tools then help in terms of automating that activity, hence saving time and saving your efforts. So that is why we need it. So in this workflow, the very first thing that we are doing is we are scraping that data, then say filtering, segmenting that data, cleaning of that data, finding missing data and enriching all of those things, and finally sending that data for review. So if you see this entire workflow, we have built using just one scraping tool, but N8N does the entire cleaning for us based on set parameters. Now this cleaning also gets done manually. So it is for you to define that do you want to do it manually by having a resource do it for you, or would you want to say have a simple workflow created that does the end-to-end thing for you. The question then also comes in, what if you want to extract contact details? So for that, then you can simply just say integrate whatever tools that you have provided, purchased, or that you have have free credits of, integrate them, use their APIs, build your own waterfall sequence, You don't need to go to any other third-party tool that helps you in terms of, say, setting up the entire waterfall or doing, say, enrichment through multiple data providers. You can just integrate them in one single workflow and have your data created and uploaded onto your CRM. So not to highlight over here the tools that are used, but more from the standpoint as how do you design a process and execute it. See, that was our data process. Now today data might also come in from your campaigns. So how would you add that? So over here, if you see, we have one more workflow that we have created just to fetch and say the data from any ad campaign that we are running and append it or add it to the campaign sheet. Or say, for example, you might fetch in data from a third party data provider or say from a platform like Play and you want to directly run your campaigns. There is a process for that also that you can set up. But the idea over here is that before all of this data comes in, the first activity that you need to do is to define exactly what do you want as part of your data. And this is where we have seen a big miss. Today people say that okay, they need certain fixed data like the company size, the tech stack and everything, but the base data that is there, that is say what are the company level data points and the prospect level data point that you actually need to do the outreach, is something companies don't define today. This is just an example of how we have defined what are the most mandatory aspects of data that you can keep. And this stays standard across any platform through which you are getting your data, be it through events, be it through ad campaigns, be it through your building your own database. All data that goes onto the CRM or onto whatever your database is should have these things mandatory. Okay. Next, say we talk about outreach. We have our data ready, we move into outreach. Today, there are a lot of email sequencer out there, LinkedIn automation tools out there, and people keep on building sequences on top of it. People keep on using multiple tools, experiment with it. Do you actually need that? So what we have done is that part of outreach, we have tried to broadly classify what is it that we would want to do. First, defining that what is outreach. Outreach is basically initiating a communication with your prospect. And this can happen through multiple modes of communication. It can be through your emails, calls, WhatsApp, LinkedIn. It can even be that, okay, there is a prospect who is not there as part of your database, but you end up meeting them in an event. Or they are outside your scope, they are not there on LinkedIn or so, but you are able to capture them through Meta ads or Google ads. So that's wherein which is the touch point that you are using to communicate or reach out to your client or prospect is what we define. Now, if you say in this point as well, we have not mentioned clearly that okay, what we are going to do in emails. Why? Because time and again, the way you are sending your emails, the way you are positioning your emails, the content of it, the sequence of it will change. And this should change. Why? Because the market evolves and you also need to evolve with it. You need to keep on experimenting with new things. You need to keep on having that trial and error, hit and miss, so that you know that okay, what's actually going to work out, what's not. And trust me, what is working today, within a week, 2 weeks, that will stop working. And you will again need to find another tactic. So for that, say for example, again, you want to build a sequence, you use tools, you use or build them on N8N or Make or Zapier, any of these workflow automation tools, customize it as per your requirement. That's the most important thing, right? Over here, say I have my email automation workflow. I have customized this to classify different types of replies. I have customized this to dynamically add personalization. I have a LinkedIn automation workflow where all I had to do is just say add one more tool, that is PhantomBuster, to run the entire sequence. And PhantomBuster takes care of every aspect, that okay, when should a follow-up be sent, when say for example a reply is received, what action should be taken, every single thing gets covered. Now the idea over here is that I'm not saying that you end up using anything, but the idea over here is how do you figure out a process and then translate it into which are the right tech stacks to use and execute. If you see, in my entire data process, in my entire outreach process, I have not used more than 5 or 6 tools at this point. If I just talk about my outreach process, I have not used more than 2 tools at this point. Okay, that's just N8N and PhantomBuster. So this shows that you need to also optimize on the tech stack that you're using. A connected system, GTM system, is not always say about building your say components using of tools or so. It's more on the lines of defining that strategy, defining those processes that will help you achieve the end goal, which is pipeline growth. Now, when we talk about all of this, okay, you have your data, you have your outreach, it looks as different segments. But how do you connect it? two ways. You use your CRM or you use your Google Sheet where you have all of your data stored. And trust me, whatever data that you have stored, you need to ensure that your status, the email stage, the LinkedIn stage, every single update that is there is properly logged onto it. Okay. Without that, you won't be able to have a performance engine, or you won't be able to track how is the campaign or how is your outreach actually performing, whether your data is right or wrong. And that actually brings me to my last part of that entire process, that is reporting, which makes all of this a very, very strong point, or this that basically makes or ensures that no, what you are doing is either right or wrong, or more than right or wrong, whether it's working or it's not working. You can have, say, in terms of your reporting structure, you can define what are the exact data points that you need. Today, with the multiple tools that we have in market, it is not difficult to build a dashboard or design a complete reporting mechanism. Say for example, I have this outreach data. Now I have this in a Google Sheet. I can just simply use Claude to build my entire dashboard that would look something like this. What I need to do is I just need to define what are the parameters that I want to track, on which I'll be able to then decide that, okay, what is the output of running this entire sequence. If this is not working, I know that, okay, I need to change something. Okay. Then on, say the question also comes in is, what if I have everything on CRM? Then you use your CRM tools to build that analytics dashboard. Like for an example over here, we are using Zoho Analytics that's connected to a Zoho CRM to have the reports in place. So the idea over here at base is that in these different components, okay, you need to then define what is it that you would want to do and keep on dynamically changing them. So this is our quick take on how a singular connected GTM system would function. Now to conclude, today a singular connected GTM system is a function of processes. It is not a combination of tools, and that is something that we would want to make very clear to anyone who is building a GTM system today. Don't go on to checking that which are the most popular tools that are there. Don't go on recommendations that, okay, this worked for me, so this might work for you. Don't go on the recommendation that, okay, since you have Claude, you can run your entire GTM system on Claude. No, that is not possible. You will need human intervention, because sales, especially B2B sales, is very human driven at this point as well. Because today you don't know what messaging will work, you don't know what people will react to it, and you don't know how are you going to generate your entire pipeline. So that is our take on it. If you found these insights useful, then please do like and subscribe to our channel. We even have a Slack community that we run where we constantly share these ideas. If you want to join, I have the link mentioned in the comments. And thank you so much for watching this one.